All right, let's jump back into our top 5, turning it into a bit of a weekly thing here, seeing how our top 5s move from week to week. Dad, why don't you give us a rundown, quick rundown?
You know, I went through this in my head a bunch of times. I got some honorable mentions, but I'm keeping the Texans in the top 5, right at number 5.
Mm-hmm.
I think their schedule sets up well for them. I'm not gonna completely say that Matt Leinart's gonna, not be at least average, which is all he needs to be for a little while. And if he plays 5 games of this offense and starts getting comfortable, get some confidence, he might be a little bit above average because of the tools he has to work with. So I'm keeping the Texans in the top 5 at number 5. Steelers, number 4.
Okay.
Steelers came back. They did what they had to do. Tough Bengals team. A Bengals team that fought the whole time, tied the game at 17, but Roethlisberger able to take the team down the field and score that touchdown. And Rashard Mendenhall, helping out with the running game. He scored 2 touchdowns in this game, looked very active. We know what the Pittsburgh Steelers could do in the passing game, and we know now we've added that running mix to it, and then picking off Andy Dalton twice in the fourth quarter. I'm taking the Steelers there.
Okay,
and
3.
Yeah, they've done a good job of taking control of that AFC North now. Number 3, Giants. I flopped the Giants and the 49ers. I had Giants 2, 49ers 3. I'll just go basis on that win. But I'm not going to punish the Giants too much for going across the country and losing the game against a really good 49ers team, which I rank number 2. Number 1, Green Bay Packers. I'm not even going to add it. Yeah.
What's your rundown?
Well, the basic way I do this is biggest threats to win the Super Bowl, and I'm probably even change what I have down here. Number 5, I'm going to have the Pittsburgh Steelers. Simply, they're the best team in the AFC, in my opinion. I don't think the Patriots can stop anybody on their defense. Baltimore, I'm basically sold on their offense. Who throws the ball 52 times a game when you have Ray Rice in your backfield? Doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
So they're out of your top 5?
They're out of my top. They were number 2 last year because of their defense, and I thought maybe they're going to get back to Anquan Bolden and Ray Rice, but for whatever reason, Cam Cameron and Jeff Harbaugh, there's something not going on there. They're not on the same page. For whatever reason, Joe Flacco has to throw the ball 50 times, which just makes no sense.
Is Jeff Harbaugh the 3rd coaching Harbaugh brother? We got John over there.
Oh, excuse me. It was John Harbaugh, not Jeff. Excuse me.
Well, it's all right. There might be a 3rd Harbaugh brother we don't know about.
He's probably fired up, too.
Yeah.
Number 4, I have the best road team in the NFL. That's the New York Giants. Eli Manning has done it before. He's gone on the road and just, run through the Green Bay, Lambeau Field. They beat Green Bay in 2007. I really like their chances with their pass rush. They almost won at San Francisco. Number 3 and number 2, I've had them interchanged a little bit. It's San Francisco and New Orleans, and for that reason, it's who gets home field advantage out of those 2 teams. Because if the road to the Super Bowl goes through either San Francisco or New Orleans, I think either one of those teams could get there, based on the fact that you'd have to have somebody come to your house and play your style of football, which the Giants had to, of course, duking it out in San Francisco. When you go to the Dome, you have to keep up with that fast pace New Orleans offense. So I think those 2 are interchangeable. Number 1, of course, is Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. I really don't think there's anybody that could stop that offense.
16-0?
I think so. If they get by, I think they got one more with Detroit on Thanksgiving. Tampa beat them 2 years ago, but I don't think that's going to happen this week. As long as Aaron Rodgers stays healthy, they've got a lot of ball hawks in that secondary. I think they're game for a 16-0 season.
Yeah, if they could somehow manage to beat the Bucs this week.
2 years ago, they thought that they were winless.
I know it.
Well, I've actually got a team at number 5 that nobody has in their top 5, which is the New England Patriots, because I think that they just had a little bit of a bump in the road there with those couple of games, close games. They weren't huge blowout losses. I just keep putting up, neutral site, New England Patriots versus somebody else in a 5-game series, right? Like, who's right?
I'd love to see a 5-game football series.
I love to, too. I just don't think their defense can do anything.
Well, I agree, although it didn't play that bad this past weekend. So
or the weekend before, where they shut out the Giants in the first half.
Yeah, I mean, the Giants didn't score 40 points on them. I agree it's a terrible defense, but I'll take them over the Ravens, because I don't have the Ravens in my top 5 anymore. I'll take them over Houston with Matt Leinart. I'll take them over...
the Ravens dropped out of all of ours with that horrible loss.
Yes.
It's just... it's their
It's
third
inexcusable.
horrible
Yeah.
loss.
Inexcusable.
Yeah.
They're losing to all these terrible teams.
Yeah.
I mean, they lost to the Seahawks and they lost
The
to
Jaguars.
the Jaguars. I mean, it's yeah. So they're out. The Patriots are in. In fact, I had a hard time with 4 or 5, even though the Giants beat them. I put the Giants at number 4 as well.
Okay.
Because they're, in the end, I have to say, well, okay. Better offense in New England, but a great offense actually in New York, especially when Ahmad Bradshaw is back. We forget that he's been out for 2 weeks. So when he comes, then they'll be much more balanced. But balance is what I'm trying to say with the Giants. They're a much more balanced football team, maybe than every team here, except for the Packers, because now the defense is starting to play elite as well.
Yeah.
The Giants are one of the most balanced teams that we see here. I've got the Steelers at 3. I think the Steelers are a fantastic football team. I feel like we all maybe dropped them a little more than we should after that Ravens loss. That was a knockdown, drag-out fight. I think the Steelers are a better team than the Ravens. And I think that they may very well be the best team in the AFC. Niners at 2 because it just works. And you know, for the first time, I watched Alex Smith play a whole game. I watched every snap of that game, and he looked good. Because Frank Gore didn't even run. I mean, he didn't run much, and then he got injured, and he played good. He was hitting small windows. He was whipping it out there. He just buys into Harbaugh's system. It's just working. He's more than a serviceable quarterback. And then with the running game and this defense, which is just ridiculous.
You know, when Gore goes down, Kendall Hunter looks pretty good in his place.
He looked great.
Yeah.
Kendall Hunter looked great.
Yeah, it's not like if they lose Gore, they're going to lose a ton.
But it's the system, it's the coach. You got to say that, right? Because the
Sure.
pieces aren't that much different than they were last year. And Green Bay at number 1, obviously.